Who is the most badass female fictional character? Ellen Ripley. 100% that badass bitch was just bitch slapping aliens left and rigged while being the only one with common sense. Sarah Connor. Linda Hamilton. All it takes is one look at Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor to know she's the baddest woman to ever grace the silver screen. Come on. Just look at her. With the tank top and the upper arm definition and the aviator torso here at Girl, I firmly believe she could lay a serious beating on a robotic Arnold Schwarzenegger and send him back to the future crying for his hard drive of a mommy. Hamilton, who played Sarah Connor in both The Terminator and Terminator 2, Judgment Day, is unmistakably awesome in the role and, in many ways, set the tone for many of the strong female roles that would come after her. She made people believe it was possible for a woman to save a day and look infinitely cool while doing it. We still get chills watching Terminator 2, and its status as one of the greatest action films of all time is in no way compromised by the fact that its protagonist is a female. Are you listening? Hollywood executives? We said in no way compromised. Let that be a lesson that James Cameron knows more than you do, and he always will. Sarah Connor. Sarah Connor one-armed cocking the shotgun is one of my favorite badass female movie moments. Honestly, Linda Hamilton buffing herself up for that role was incredible. Her ducking deltoids, man. I'll go with the Emily Blunt's character in The Edge of Tomorrow, the Full Metal bitch. I heard they are making a prequel sequel starring her, like it'll continue the story, but I guess either her or Tom Cruise ends up going back in time again. All the way back to when she still had the power or something. It'll be crazy. I loved that movie and those characters. Eowyn stabbed the Witch King of Angmar in the face and killed him, who is supposed to be unkillable. Toph from Avatar. Xena. Loved watching that show as a child. I was a young adult when it aired originally. I probably enjoyed it for different reasons than you. Elena Tyrrell from Goatee. And 2020 took her away from us. Damn, she died 2 weeks ago. I didn't even hear about that. I read a little about her just now. What a legendary woman. Buffy. Unlike many strong female characters on this thread, she was allowed to both have actual flaws and be overtly feminine. Often in a girly kind of way. A lot of times, the badass woman is a not like other girls tomboy or a flawless femme fatale. Buffy was great because she was a strong female lead who was competent and badass, but also flawed and could sometimes be vapid, emotional, or immature. I generally don't like when people try to argue that a story is forcing a female lead or something like that, because 9 times out of 10 it's more a problem with the writing itself, and most series present some sort of philosophy, whether it's controversial or not. But in this case, it was just so natural and just worked. They let her have episodes where she did girly things, or gossiped about boys or any of the other 100 stereotypes about teenage girls, but she rarely had to be rescued, and the show went out of its way to show that these things didn't stop her from being a badass, even if they occasionally caused conflicts. I have to go and watch that show again. So good. Molly Weirlie. I'm joking, but not really. She actually is a badass. She may seem like you're frumpy house frau, because quite frankly she wanted to be a frumpy house frau. Living at home and raising a family was her thing. However, she was prodigious at magic, and when she was forced into fighting, she held her own extremely well. The fact that she could take out Bellatrix says enough there. Really, don't duck with a mother, and especially don't duck with a mother who can wield a wand, I guess. Exclamation mark. I was so mad when they took the Avada Kedavra curse away from her in the movies. Such a powerful moment, Amo. Samus Aran. This is always my first answer when I think of badass females. What's better than a badass space bounty hunter? Also, I believe Samus is the first ever playable female in video game history, if you don't count Mrs. Pac-Man. Annabeth Chase. Book Annabeth though, not movie. What movie? Be fun. Which one? Yes. Imperator Furiosa. Fury Road has many interesting female tropes. Goddess. Crone. Warrior woman. Big Mama. Ahsoka Tano by far IMHO. Edit. Misspelled Ahsoka. So many characters were introduced into the Clone Wars TV show. Yet somehow she was the best. Because she's well written. Yeah, she was a bit annoying in the first few seasons, but they didn't focus on making her automatically a badass right away. She had to face certain struggles and overcome them. I think that Kim Wexler, BCS, could be the most realistic example, right? The scene where Lalo comes to their house has got to be one of the most tense in the whole franchise. Lalo is terrifying. He is so social compared to the other Salamancas. Rosa Diaz. Bobby Draper. As a Mad Men fan, this one always takes me a minute. Sadie Adler. She's so cool. I found myself more and more wishing she were the protagonist, and I think Arthur is fantastic. Spoilers for RDR2 ahead. I don't know how to actually do the spoiler thing. I'm glad Arthur was the main character, but I wish we would have played as Sadie instead of John in the post game. I thought John's plot of how he got the farm and married Abigail really wasn't that interesting, and Cold been a neat background plot to Sadie's badass bounty hunter plot. And once I finished John's story I didn't want to keep playing. I knew where his story went from there. Doing anything else Cold felt like it was against the story of the first game. Sadie's story Cold kept going and been expanded on. Lara Croft. Finally she has guts. Peggy Carter. I know my value. Apostrophe. Lizzie Bennett is pretty duckin' badass. The way she rips Mr. Darcy a new one when he gives her that arrogant, demeaning proposal of marriage is just about the best shredding out there in literature or otherwise. You are mistaken, Mr. Darcy, if you suppose that the mode of your declaration affected me in any other way than as it spared the concern which I might have felt in refusing you, had you behaved in a more gentlemanlike manner. Avatar Kyoshi. Let me prove that for you. She was the most complex of the bunch. Her identity was not even discovered as the Avatar. Grew up literally on the streets. She was hated for being the Avatar. Whatever she did to help others she was faced with scorn, and yet she didn't budge from her beliefs. Spoiler, she had to kill her best friend, Yun, to save the world, for whom she had mourned for so long. She learned to control her immense power herself without any traditional gurus, and yet she was always decisive. She emanated qualities of a leader, and wasn't afraid of confronting evil, wherever it may lie. She tanked 5-6 bolts of electricity directly, froze a guy's heart inside his body, took Garrett wire to her neck, and shrugged it off like it was nothing. Held up an entire house with ground underneath it in the air, while choking another fellow with her other hand, while thinking of her past trauma, and managed to save everyone eventually. The story of Chin must be more than what we think. But we are never given the full comic or novel treatment for that. But yet the story in fact reveals her authority, and her belief that no one's actions go without consequences. She embodies that idiom. So yeah, she is a badass. Not just because she is immensely powerful, or the Avatar, or surrounded by people who love her, but because she has flaws. She makes mistakes, and yet doesn't bargain with what she believes in, whatever the cost, and fights through adversity. That's Avatar Kyoshi. Sorry, but I can't stand for talking Kyoshi up. Nope. She let a dictator take over half the world, and didn't lift a finger until he got to her hometown. The Avatar, who's supposed to protect the world. Her predecessor fought demons, and took enough damage to his psyche that he succumbed to alcoholism. Her successor was ready to kill his best friend in the world for even attempting to colonize, and his successor saved the world at like 12. Edit for grammar. On the bright side, it was kinda funny to see Kyoshi throw Aang under the proverbial bus during that kangaroo court near that one village. Femshep from Mass Effect. Granted, it's the same thing that happened if you chose male ship, but I think it's really cool. Most of the female characters in me are badasses. Miranda, Lyra, Jack, Taylor, etc. Bunch of badasses. Vin from Mistborn. I was just about to say this. Attacking with obsidian daggers, leading Carlos, SP, into battle, brawling with pewter burners and inquisitors, surviving as a scav, and sometimes while in a dress. Buffy. I especially loved that she was badass and strong, while still being feminine. Goes to show that a strong, badass female character doesn't have to be male-like to be strong. Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. Lisbeth Salander. I was like 95% sure I knew who this was, so I googled it. I was right. But also learned 2 new books have come out in the last few years. Not working in a bookstore anymore has drawbacks. It's not by the same author though, and I think we are up to 3 now. I've seen them, but I'm so hesitant to actually read them, because I can't imagine anyone capturing Lisbeth the way Larson did. Edit. Spelling errors. P. Princess Leia. That's former galactic head of state. GD Master. Leia Organa Solo to you. Mother to the first empress of the Fel dynasty. Grandmother to the heiress of the Hapes Consortium. I will forever be salty that the Sword of the GD trilogy was cancelled. I needed more Jaina and Jag. Mrs. Gump. Forrest Gump's mom. I'd like to submit Hermione Granger. Smart as hell. She's the best witch in her year. Ron and Harry would have been dead dozens of times if it wasn't for her. Yes. And she's not even 17 for most of the series. As she grows up she stops taking people's shit. Alice. Resident Evil. She has been my role model since 13. Mikasa from Attack on Titan. She's a living Beyblade. Mirror of the Akoma. Need to reread that entire series of books. Rift to a Cycle FTW. Beatrix the Bride Kiddo. Uma Thurman. In Kill Bill. Why is this so far down? Exclamation mark. Question mark. Exclamation mark. I opened this post expecting it to be at least in the top 3. Elfine Tinville from Tolkien's Silmarillion. She faced down Sauron and won. Baron gets the credit for retrieving the Silmaril from Morgoth's crown. But Elfine did the majority of the difficult stuff. Oh. I don't see Baron as getting the credit. It was clearly a team effort. The main female cast from Firefly. I'd say it's a toss-up between Jaina Solo and Mara Jade Skywalker. For real. These 2 are my fab GD. Honor Harrington. I want that security camera footage from the Protector's Palace. From the first time she went to dinner. Sango from Inuyasha. Polite. Compassionate. And in tune with her emotions throughout her family and friends. Though. And she and Kirora shifts effortless into a merciless slayer. She never hesitates to protect those weaker than her. Never stops to consider whether she'll be putting herself in danger when lending a hand. She just does it. She'll forever be my role model. Not only that, but in the group. Inuyasha was half demon. Miroku had his wind tunnel. Shippa's a fox demon. And Kagome has sacred arrows. But Sango has none of these extra kinds of power and is still one of the greatest assets to the team because she's a ducking badass. Talented demon slayer that doesn't need any power-ups. Most of the women in Avatar The Last Airbender, Toph, Katara, Azula, Saki and the Kyoshi warriors, Yu, Mei, Tali, even the blood-bending lady was pretty badass. Creepy and evil. But badass. Don't forget Og Kyoshi. Erin's son from Farscape. Holy shit, someone actually beat me to it. Erin is by far the most badass female in Farscape. She doesn't even take shit from Crichton. Either Rosa Diaz or Undyne. Ripley. Hands down most badass alien, kicking, stunning, confident, amazing, intelligent, resourceful. She fought for everyone. A leading example of what a leader is. Fucking A. Ripley. Ripley. Hands down. Alien is the best science fiction horror movie in my opinion, and it had a female main. According to another thread, the part wasn't written with a gender. The script just had last names and they chose the best actors possible for the parts, then gave them first names. Doesn't surprise me. I didn't know that, and I would need more proof to be certain it's factually accurate. Weaver just owned that role. She made that character Scottish. She flat killed it. Your mom. She gave birth to you. You beautiful person. Yes, you. You beautiful person reading this. Does that make me half fictional? Sarah Connor. Ellen Ripley. Lisbeth Salander. Toph. Sinnoh champion Cynthia. The most feared champion of them all. That Garcomp spiritum still haunt my dreams. Walking into that house in Undella Town in Black was scary. When I heard the music and saw Cynthia approach, I knew an epic battle was about to go down. River Song. I wish they used her more, but at the space time would she have been so epic if in more episodes. Rabitam. No power in the verse can stop me. Shego from Kim Possible XD. The baddest green bitch of them all. Poison Ivy has entered the chat. Zelda. She literally held Malice Incarnate back for 100 years. While Link took a nap. Yeah, people don't seem to be as impressed about that as I was. Holding out against darkness and destruction incarnate non-stop for a 100 freaking years is a ridiculous feat of metal and power. Scarlet Witch. Strongest Avenger by far, and even more so in the comics. Wanda once said no more mutants, and made it so. Buffy. Molly from the book Neuromancer. Total badass. This X100. Step-in Razor. In honor of the late Diana Rigg. I'm going to say Mrs. Emma Peel from the Avengers, not the Marvel series. The 60s Spy TV series. I love her. Mrs. Peel is the best. I loved watching reruns of that show as a kid. Lady Elena in Goatee was also a badass. Let's be real. Dame Diana Rigg was a true badass herself. R.I.P. Minerva McGonagall. Saber from Fate. Annie Wilkes. Misery. That one scene will haunt me forever. You'll Methodicas need some Wheel of Time in your lives. Wearing Damadadi said A is a clear answer here. Wonder Woman. She took a full-on headbutt from Superman. And like just shrugged that shit off. She is unbelievably powerful. I think she might be one of if not the strongest woman in the DC universe. I'd say Clara Oswald from Doctor, who was pretty badass. The way she stood up to a load of Cybermen in Death in Heaven and claimed to be the Doctor, knowing full well that she was bluffing, was quite an epic moment. Melinda May, yet she is in her 50s and looks like she is in her 30s and kicking ass. Octavia Blake from the 100, love her and the character development. I'm not sure I agree. She spent most of her life under the floorboards and then in prison. She gets to Earth and immediately becomes a badass warrior fighter that everyone follows, even though they never really have reason to. I find her very trope why. Scheherazade. Lyra Belakba from his Dark Materials trilogy. The crazy shit she has to go through and deals with as a preteen girl is ridiculous. A close second is Araya for similar reasons. Mulan. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.